Alright everyone, we start off today talking about presidential betting odds. Link in the description, not archived of course. This one's from RCP of course, a good aggregation service, along with Ground News. If you get the two of them, then you're probably getting like out of the echo chamber. I like to read things by liberal commentators too. It can be of import for whatever reasons you may decide. Trump has retaken his lead in the betting odds for the presidency. In several of the different betting markets, of course. A couple of them still have Harris ahead, but it's basically 50-50 overall. Again, link in the description, not archived. This is of import. The betting odds typically outpace the polling aggregates with regards to accuracy. Trump is on the rise right now, and Kamala as expected. And I warned people of this. They were getting all black-pilled. Oh my God, there's a Kamala surge. Like, don't worry. As much as she's exposed to the public, she's going to go down concordantly. That's because she's not a good communicator. She's not a good debater. I can't wait for the September debate, for example. They punted the Fox News debate. They decided not to do that particular one. I wonder why. The more that Kamala is exposed to the public, the less people like her. She was one of the most disliked vice presidents in the history of the United States. She's derpy, she's awkward, and often says like weird shit that doesn't really make sense when you try to consider what she's actually just said. Unlike Joe Biden, if Joe Biden is having one of his more lucid moments, he's capable of communicating. In his case, it's just senility because of his cognitive decline, which is quite clear. Everyone knows that he has, including the liberals. Occasionally, he would lapse and have a bad day. Unfortunately for him, one of those bad days happened to be the day that he was debating Donald Trump. That was not necessarily a good look. You know, when you can't communicate at all at the time, it becomes rather problematic. Kamala, on a regular basis, is incapable of basic human communication because she'll say things, she'll try to convey a meaning, but the meaning doesn't really register with anyone because of the way she tries to communicate it. I'm not surprised at all that Trump has already broken even and is back on the rise. Donald Trump, when he comes out and he speaks to people, he's become more linear. He's become more solemn, so to speak, more presidential, actually, than he was in 2016 or 2020. He's capable of communicating a complex meaning to people in a way that they can understand. Kamala has a huge disadvantage here. She's not capable of doing that. Therefore, the more she comes out and is exposed to the press, still hasn't had a presser, by the way. It's been, I can't remember how many days, which is abnormal for a presidential candidate. She doesn't talk to the press as much as possible for a reason. When she holds limited rallies, where they literally, or tries to buy Doritos, for example, she just comes off as awkward. She comes off as odd. This is sort of what I talked about in 2016, where what I challenged people to do is look at the different candidates. So you had the Republican and Dem primaries. You didn't have an incumbent, of course. Obama was outgoing. I said, how would you cast these people off in the role if you were making a film about the presidency? Trump would come off as the executive, and now he's the quasi-incumbent, so we know how he would govern. Kamala comes off as the sort of person who accidentally starts World War III. And it's a problem because that could actually be the case. Trump has retaken the betting odds lead because of the fact that he can communicate and Kamala Harris cannot. That's the long and short of it. It doesn't help when your economic platform is effectively, let's turn the United States into the Soviet Union. I don't think that went over very well. Liberal commentators, I loved this. Briefly there, before they circled wagons and stopped talking about it altogether, were raising their eyebrows at her proposal. And they're like, Miss Kamala, please don't do this. This is a bad idea. This harkens back to the Jimmy Carter administration. It's probably not good for your election bid. They still want her to be elected, but I think that they're beginning to sour on her actual chances. This is part of it. Based on polling, recent polling, and based on the ability to communicate, I still give Trump a significant advantage. I think there's an 85-90% chance that he's reelected. That's, by the way, regardless of whether he's put in a jail cell. In fact, if he's put in a jail cell, it might help his reelection bid. That's the tragic irony of it with the deep state's persecution. If Donald Trump does get tossed into Rikers or something like that, it might increase his popularity. Because the system is so fundamentally broken, and Kamala's a symbol of the current system, the administration, the uniparty, that people have completely rejected it. The more persecution you heap on Trump, probably the more popular he becomes. You remember, during the primaries, he was only narrowly ahead of DeSantis there for a while. Then all of a sudden he gets indicted and gains like 5-6 points in the aggregate. That's rather telling. It's a stunning unendorsement of the current system and the way that it works. People are angry as the system doesn't work. You've got sticky inflation. You've got now potentially rising unemployment. You've got a uniparty that seems callous, uninclined to care about the average person. While Trump is a quasi-incumbent, he hasn't been in office in the last few years. The current administration, the current campaign ticket, represents the uniparty, and people are beginning to reject that. This was entirely predictable. People got all black-pilled about it. Oh my God, Kamala's going to do it, isn't she? No, I don't think that she is. Is it possible? Yeah. Is it plausible? No, not really, especially with the defortification of Arizona. We'll be talking about that separately. Donald Trump now has taken potentially a narrow lead in the betting odds. And that's because Kamala Harris effectively just needs to be allowed to talk. Trump needs to continuously harangue her, by the way, to go to more than one debate. He needs to pester her incessantly and get her out before the public or make her look like a coward when she's unwilling to do so. If she is allowed to talk enough, she will be obliterated. Because she's not likable, she's not well-spoken, she's not good at debating, and she says vacuous things. Okay, sloganeering is good once in a while. God, Trump does that too. I sloganeer as well. I love linguistics. But you have to have something of substance to actually say. Like, here's my ideas on A, B, and C, and X, Y, and Z. This is my tax proposal. Kamala's didn't go over so well. Here's what I want to do with foreign policy. You need to have a dedicated foreign policy debate. Trump should definitely challenge her to one of those because it would be, it'd be like clubbing a baby seal. He would run roughshod over her. Well, your foreign policy is, hey, a bunch of wars started. My foreign policy is I didn't start any wars and withdrew from Afghanistan, but Biden managed to fuck that up and you were his VP at the time and should have told him better. He needs to try to peg Kamala to the Biden administration, in other words. On that token, a dedicated foreign policy debate, my goodness, that would be one for the ages. Can you fucking imagine? There's a reason why they probably wouldn't agree to it, by the way. I'm not surprised in the least that he's now at least narrowly ahead in the betting odds, and in the aggregate about 50-50, despite Kamala's surge, so to speak. It was just the result of a very, very temporary, extreme ad propaganda campaign designed to blackpill Republican voters. That's all it was. It's just a blip, basically. People thought there was a staying power to it. Well, eventually you run out of the ad money. She's still got a lot of money on hand, so does Trump, by the way, but you can only fool people for so long, and then it begins to wear off. I think that they shot their load too quickly and should have waited. They should have kept Kamala quiet for a couple of months and then unleash all havoc towards the end of the campaign. That would have been the wise thing to do. But the people running the campaign aren't actually that intelligent. That's the whole point. Another reason why she's probably going to lose in the 2024 election. That's about all. Peace out.